Iron Gwazi is finally opening up this year. Enough said. Iron Gwazi is one of the most hyped up coasters for 2021, and it surely will not disappoint. This insane hyper hybrid is one of only 3 in the entire world, and its ride experience will be unlike anything we've ever seen before. Everything from its interesting spaghetti bowl layout to its stunning inversions look amazing, and this ride will definitely be a fantastic addition to Busch Gardens Tampa. I don't even really need to talk about the ride itself, because I'm sure everyone already knows everything about it. Instead, I'm going to be discussing something far more important. Iron Gwazi will definitely impact Busch Gardens' future, but what if I told you that the future of RMC also depends on Gwazi? In this video, I'm going to tell you all of the reasons why RMC's future is highly dependent on Iron Gwazi's success, as well as also explain to you why the future of RMC may look completely different than we expected. So join me as in this video I tell you why RMC's success as well as Busch Gardens is highly dependent upon Iron Gwazi. But like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I post brand new videos just like this every week, and I really appreciate all of the wonderful support that this channel has been getting. But now let's get to the video. In order for me to explain this theory, we need to go back to the past. And I'm talking about a year that did not go as planned. And I'm obviously referring to 2020. Now that we're in the new year, 2020 is officially only a memory. However, we cannot ignore the fact that it changed the coaster industry as we knew it. 2020 was supposed to be an epic year for theme parks, with many new attractions opening all over the world, including Iron Gwazi, Pantheon, Icebreaker, Emperor, and many others. On top of that, 2020 was supposed to be the year where all the work started on the mystery projects for 2021, but as we all know, that didn't happen. 2020 turned out absolutely terrible for the coaster industry. It not only killed theme parks' growth and success, but it also scrapped their budgets and forced the parks to go into survival mode. And this is where I get to Gwazi and RMC, or more specifically, Gwazi's original purpose. Iron Gwazi's original purpose was to establish Busch Gardens Tampa as the Cedar Point of Florida, with them having so many top tier rides in one park. Therefore, RMC created a top tier product that stands out from the rest. Iron Gwazi may have similarities to coasters like Zadra and Steel Vengeance, however it is something completely different. It is a custom designed record breaking monster that was specifically designed for BGT. Dare I say it could possibly be RMC's best work. Now, what am I getting to? Well, as we know, the pandemic is making it very hard for future amusement parks to succeed. Closed parks mean no revenue, and no revenue means a very limited budget for new attractions. So it is very likely that expensive companies like B&M, Mac, and even Intamin could see a huge decrease in sales, simply because parks cannot afford it. This will also result in coasters being added way less frequently and US companies mainly focusing on the United States projects. Now you may be saying to yourself that RMC would likely flourish in this scenario. Their rides are cheaper, provide an epic ride experience, and are huge crowd pleasers. However, I'm not sure exactly what will happen. After 2020, parks are going to be needing rides that create a return on investment rather quickly. They need rides that will bring in the crowds, and give them back their money that they spent as soon as possible. Coasters like Iron Gwazi are going to be serving as test runs for parks, and a lot of companies are going to be watching to see how Gwazi affects Busch Gardens' success specifically in the short term. If I asked you if coasters like Steel Vengeance and Twisted Timbers were a success, chances are you would say yes. Steel Vengeance is obviously an amazing ride, and therefore it is a success, right? Well, kind of. So this question actually depends on how you look at it and how you define success. A year after Steel Vengeance's opening, it was reported that the ride did not perform as expected. It did not create a huge hike in ticket sales, and it only had a minimal effect on attendance in 2018. So in the short term, a coaster like Steel Vengeance was not as successful as Cedar Point had hoped. But Steel Vengeance did eventually succeed in the long run. Ticket sales and attendance would eventually go up, such as Cedar Fair setting an all-time attendance record in 2019. Steel Vengeance turned out to be a pretty decent investment, which is somewhat attributed to the steady growth each year. However, it definitely was not a get-rich-quick scheme, and it took a while to make back the capital that they bought it for. And this is where I get to Gwazi. Iron Gwazi simply cannot afford that. In order for Busch Gardens to pick itself back up and start making more profit, they're going to need an attraction that explodes in popularity, resulting in a huge uptick in attendance. Out of all the theme park companies affected by the pandemic, SeaWorld was one of the ones that got hit the hardest. They really need Iron Gwazi to be a smash hit, and I'm not making this stuff up. This is also one of the reasons that they chose not to open Iron Gwazi in 2020, even though it was 100% ready when the parks were open last year. They could have theoretically opened it up in July or August, but they didn't. They did this in order to increase the potential profit. I'll say it again, Busch Gardens really needs Gwazi to gain a lot of media attention. And unlike Steel Vengeance's slow but steady profitability, Busch Gardens needs to see the fruits of Iron Gwazi almost immediately. But this isn't just for Busch Gardens. Believe it or not, I think Rocky Mountain Construction's future is also going to be directly influenced by how Gwazi performs. As of now, RMC's potential US business for their hybrid coasters is actually getting smaller and smaller. And here's what I mean. RMC is running out of old wooden coasters that they could convert into hybrids. Out of all of the old wooden coasters left in the United States, I can only think of 2, 3, or even 4 possible coasters that could potentially get the RMC treatment. The coasters I'm referring to are Roar, Cheetah, Wildcat, and Predator. However, if you really think about it, all of these coasters seem super unlikely, and at most, I could only see one of these rides actually being converted into an RMC. So what does this mean? I think this means that the majority of future RMC hybrid coasters are actually most likely going to be built from the ground up. And even though Gwazi is not a ground up iBox, it still has some of the characteristics of one like Zadra. So how Gwazi performs is really going to impact the potential ground up iBoxes in the future. In 2021, RMC is only building 3 coasters: Stunt Pilot, Jersey Devil, and of course Iron Gwazi. Out of the 3, Gwazi is the most prominent and therefore becomes the face of RMC in 2021. RMC is trying to diversify their portfolio with the Raptors, but like it or not, when you think of RMC, you still think of their hybrids. So it all boils down to this. If Iron Gwazi is a tremendous success, we can expect to see many more hybrids in the near future. But if Gwazi doesn't perform as well as Busch Gardens expects, we might have to wait a long time to see another hybrid in the United States. If Iron Gwazi does increase revenue and attendance for Busch Gardens, SeaWorld will definitely take note of it and most likely add RMC hybrids at other parks in the chain, such as Busch Gardens Williamsburg and the SeaWorld parks. And yes, I do think it is that simple. For a coaster of its size, Iron Gwazi was actually super cheap. Liens filed on the coaster revealed that its cost was most likely somewhere around the lines of $12 to $14 million. This is a price that parks can definitely afford even after coming out of a huge loss, but there needs to be a purpose in adding the ride. The only way that other parks like BGW and the SeaWorld parks would even consider adding RMCs is if it worked out spectacularly for Busch Gardens Tampa. SeaWorld is literally in trouble, and if they think that an RMC spending spree is going to help them out, they're definitely going to try. SeaWorld is not opposed to risking large amounts of capital. They tried in 2019, and in the beginning it looked like it was going to work. So theoretically they could try it again in the future, even if it means taking more chances. So here are the specific circumstances in which I think SeaWorld Entertainment would go on an RMC spending spree. Number 1. Gwazi needs to directly boost Busch Gardens attendance to pick them back up to pre-pandemic levels. Before the pandemic, chain-wide attendance was at an all-time high, so Gwazi needs to do the same thing for Busch Gardens. Iron Gwazi needs to gain massive media attention, as in international coverage of the ride. Number 3. It needs to gain back the money that Busch Gardens paid for it fairly quickly. And number 4, it needs to compete with Velocicoaster to ensure that it doesn't get overshadowed. Now you may think I'm a little bit crazy, but if all these 4 things happen, I'm fairly confident that we will indeed see another RMC iBox in the SeaWorld chain fairly soon. Now I know a lot of you are not going to jump on the SeaWorld Entertainment RMC hype train, But consider this. If SeaWorld sees that Gwazi is a cure to Busch Gardens' financial problems, there is no way that they wouldn't try to replicate it at other parks in the chain. But that's just my theory. So to conclude, SeaWorld Entertainment and RMC desperately need Gwazi to be a smash hit. This will help ensure that both companies work with each other again in the future and thrive through the next couple of years. So all we have to do now is wait until Iron Gwazi opens and see how it affects Busch Gardens and RMC. But let me just say this, I bet Iron Gwazi is going to be one epic ride. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see content just like this every week, and comment below your thoughts on Busch Gardens and Iron Gwazi. What do you think the future is going to be like? This is the Coaster Josh, signing out.